Welcome to By All Means Necessary Real Recovery Talk. My name is Marco Murillo, and I'm a grateful recovering addict. Today is episode 13. We have a very special guest in the studio today. My first sponsor of 5 years of my recovery, Len. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great now. I'm with you, bud.
It's good to see you.
It is a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I'm very grateful that you came in.
Well,
You're a hard guy to get in here. You're a busy golfer now.
Well, I'm doing one shot at a time, just like one day at a time.
Okay. All right. I hear you. Len has 16 years clean, and you were in active addiction for 33 years.
Yeah.
16 years clean. That's a miracle, man.
It is.
And just a little backstory about, like I mentioned, that Len was my first sponsor. I've known Len for close to 7 years. Len was my sponsor for the first 5 years, and I remember meeting Len. I got out of rehab, and I was going into this meeting at the Why Not New meeting, and I would wear a baseball cap like I am now, but I would wear it where you couldn't see my eyes, and I would sit in the back of the room, and I wanted to kill everybody that was in this meeting, right, because I thought they were all full of shit. Yeah. Like, there's no way these people can be clean. And they were like talking about God and how they love this and they love that and their life was great and they're married with kids and this and that. And I really thought that you guys were, full of shit.
Yeah, man.
And I remember that I heard you share a couple times, and I needed a sponsor. And I was like, how is this guy so spiritual, and how does he speak so calmly about being an addict? And I remember I approached you, and you told me to lift my fucking cap because you couldn't see my eyes, first of all, and you thought I was a thug. And there's a couple important things, but one of the things was that I used to say that my name is Marco and I'm a drug addict.
I recall that.
And you said, why don't you change that and say, hey, I'm Marco, and I'm a grateful recovering addict.
Amen.
It's better. It has a better ring to it.
It flows, babe.
Yeah, most definitely. And if you're watching this podcast, if you're listening to this podcast or you're watching the video, and if you're familiar with sponsorship and sponsees, we developed a relationship that went more than just sponsorship and a sponsee. Len became like a father figure to me. I was dealing with a lot of personal things with my my wife and my children, and I couldn't really function as a private chef. I couldn't work. I used for 19 years, and I didn't know how to be a productive member of society. I was really fucked up in the beginning. And Len took me in, and, on a daily basis, we spoke every day. And he told me that, at the end of the day, it'll be all right. And we did the steps together, pardon me, and, you taught me about the spiritual principles behind the steps, which is one of the most powerful things that you ever taught me and you ever showed me. Thank you. And I'm very grateful for our relationship. I'm really glad that you came in. I couldn't be here without what you've done for me, and, how powerful the work that we did together. I confided a lot of information to you that I've never told anybody before, that I hid, and a lot of trauma. And, I kind of understood that I went through a lot of stuff, and you showed me that, because of those things, that's why, I was really using cocaine and really trying to suppress all those feelings. And that's why, I went on that long run, That being said, that's the backstory. So here we go. You ready to go?
Let's roll with it, buddy.
All right, buddy. So where were you born? Where are you from? How did you grow up? What was childhood like? How did that look like?
I grew up I was born in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And grew up in Maryland, Silver Spring, and Bethesda, which is the suburbs. And I was a baby of three, older sister, middle brother, and mother and father. And my mother and father worked very hard. 6 days a week, they owned a kosher delicatessen in Washington, D.C., and they were never home, only at around 6, 7 o'clock for dinner. But during the day, I ran wild. We didn't have a house lady that took care of us, but no one was there to tame us.
Okay.
And my brother was a wild maniac.
Okay.
Put it out there. He beat
Your
me.
older brother?
My older brother.
Okay.
May he rest in peace.
Okay. Yeah, may you rest in peace. He beat
the hell out of me.
He beat you
on a daily basis.
Your brother beat you on a daily basis.
Just smacked me around, and not that I didn't probably deserve it, but he picked on me.
Okay.
And at that age, 3, 4, about 7, 8, 9, 10, I'm starting to develop some type of maturity of some sort, and getting beat up every day. You lose control of any type of reality.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I do want to back up when I was 3 years old, because this is a trauma in my life.
Okay.
That I truly believe contributed a lot to my drug use. When I was 3 years old, my sister would take me out to the ice cream truck, a Good Humor truck, and we'd be at the side of the road. And I was always the first one to ring the bell on this Good Humor truck. And all of a sudden, I'm hearing the bells. I'm holding my sister's hand. And I hear the bells, and I see somebody's ringing it. And I broke loose from my sister's hand. And I ran across the street. And this kid who was 16 years old, he stole his parents' car. And he hit me.
He hit you.
He was going very fast. And I used to wear suspenders.
Okay.
And my suspenders got caught underneath the car and dragged me 27 feet. I'll never forget the footage.
At 3 years old?
3 years old. And and at that time, this man was walking down the street, and he saw me, and he ran out there, and he had a handkerchief in his pocket.
Okay.
And I had a big hole. There's a scar right there, and he took the handkerchief and put it over my head and saved my life.
Okay.
Stopped bleeding. And I was in the hospital for a good 3, 4, 5 months.
Wait, 3, 4, 5 months at 3 years old?
Yeah.
That is fucking traumatic.
Yeah, I had scars from here, my face, you can see, and
right
up over here.
Yeah.
The point I bring it out is, at 3 years old, you start talking, and I became a stutterer.
Okay.
And right then in school, you're afraid to raise your hand.
Mm-hmm.
I knew the answers.
You knew the information, you knew the answers, but you just didn't want to fucking
I was being teased, called a stutterer. I couldn't get a word out. So I had speech therapy. And, I would leave the class for an hour, and they would teach me how to chew my words. So fast forward real quick, when I stopped using drugs, I stopped stuttering.
And you stopped using drugs, you stopped stuttering.
Correct.
Okay.
At that point, in stopping using the drugs, learning how to rethink things in life, slowing my mind down, I was able to get my words out slowly.
Right.
Instead of being in a hurry and stuttering.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, fast forward up to 9, 10 years old, I was very athletic.
Right.
Worked out, exercised, played baseball. I was a very good swimmer.
Okay.
And my parents were never there for my swim meets. My father was working 6 days. They worked elbow to elbow in a kosher delicatessen. They provided everything. I was very spoiled. I was the baby.
Yeah, but they never saw you swim. They never saw you.
They did, yeah. At baseball games, Dad was never there.
My dad never went to one fucking game. You know that.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
And I had resentments.
Yeah, of course.
So growing up, I'm athletic, playing ball. And then 10, 11, 12, I'm in junior high, and I'm doing okay, happy. And next thing I know, like 13, 14, we decided to move to a different part of Maryland. And at that point, I was in a different junior high, different high school, new kids,
Yeah.
new friends. I was a new kid on the block
Yeah,
coming
that
in.
age, that sucks.
Right?
Yeah.
And I made friends easily, and I got on the basketball team. So from 8th grade to 9th grade, I played basketball. Did pretty good. And the rest of my friends wanted to play football. And I was a real skinny toothpick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really was wet. So in my freshman year, I wanted to be part of the football team, so I became the Viking mascot.
Okay.
And my father spoiled me by giving me a mini bike, and with the love, showing that, giving me materialistic things.
Buying stuff for you.
Yeah. And so during the halftime, I'd ride through the field with a flag as a Viking.
Okay.
So I had a part of the team.
Sure.
So now, come my senior year, now I didn't believe in any kind of alcohol, no smoking of anything, because I was an athlete, and athletes never did that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
At all.
Right.
So my senior year, I said to my guys, you got to start working out, Len. So I started to pump some iron with the guys in the gym. And they said, why don't you come out and try the team?
Okay.
And I made the team.
You made the team. Right on.
And I was a halfback, defensive back.
Okay.
This is the summertime, right before fall season.
Mm-hmm.
So I recall, guy goes out for a pass, catches it, and I tackle him high, and I step on his foot. He steps on my foot, and it twists, and my left knee goes out. So now I'm in a cast.
Mm.
I'm home, and at that time, a doctor prescribed me choice of my drug, which was opiates, Vicodin. And from that on,
At 18.
Okay, it didn't stop till I was 51.
Jesus Christ.
Now, I had fun. Every 10 years, I did the designer drugs, whatever came out, the PCP, angel dust, all that.
So PCP, angel dust.
Freebase,
Wow.
the Quaaludes, whatever was out in the market.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah.
I didn't know any different. I knew that it was fun. And I was working. I worked in the deli.
Mm-hmm.
I showed up for work.
In the beginning, or the whole, pretty much like the whole time, you could function?
I was a functioning addict all the way up until I was 51 years old.
That's amazing.
I showed up. And I was responsible.
Okay.
Did I get in a lot of trouble? Absolutely.
Okay. But I mean, you could still function. I mean, I didn't last that long. I couldn't fucking function that long. But okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So, I'd be with companies, and I'd get fired at times for my behavior, and I believe that was my drug use. And I went out and danced at Saturday Night Live, that kind of stuff. John Travolta and all. And I danced and always had a little pocket thing of cocaine, that sort of thing, throughout the night. And so 21 years old, I decided, to take a little bit of responsibility. And I met my sister's best friend, and we dated for quite some time. And she had a lot of money. And she asked me to move in with her. And we had a big house with a pool, and I was spoiled. Now, my father died at 55 years old. I was like 19. He was my best friend. And when Dad died, all bets were off. I got in more trouble with my brother, because my brother was a dealer. He dealt a lot of cocaine, a lot of marijuana, and all my supplies came from him.
Your brother that used to beat you was your dealer?
Yeah. He was a dealer.
He was a dealer.
Yeah, very well known.
Okay.
And
that's convenient.
Yeah, it was all right there,
Okay.
So time went on, and he got in some trouble. And one night, I was going to an Elton John concert, and I recall being at his house, and there was about 100 pounds of marijuana in the back, and there was a note and 2 ounces of cocaine. And I was watching it when he was out of town. So all of a sudden, we're about to leave to go to the concert, and I'm hearing the sirens and the helicopters coming. And they were going to break the door down. I opened it up, and they come in, and they're looking for my brother, and he's nowhere around.
Yeah.
So they go into my room, and there's the 2 ounces of cocaine there, and they had to pop somebody. So they popped me. They took me away, and I wouldn't I would not squeal on my brother. I pleaded the Fifth Amendment. I did a little bit of time. Nothing, it was scary in there.
Right.
People did know him, so they did protect me at times.
Okay.
So that was the first time in jail. And got out, and, they finally got him, and he had to do some time. And then Arnie came out, and Arnie got clean for 18 years. He didn't do any drugs.
Your brother.
My brother.
Okay.
So to this day, I want to beat him because I'm coming up on 17. I want to beat that 18 one day at a time.
Right.
So I just kept going and running and tearing.
Okay.
And then my sister, friend, her name was Lois. I met her, and we had that big house. And I was on a major cocaine run because she had all the money. And
like what? What's a major cocaine run?
Major
For
cocaine
people
run.
that don't know what that is.
I was doing, an ounce a week. And it didn't stop.
Wow.
All my friends were at my house partying. I drove a van. She drove the vet. She gave me the vet. I'm 21 years old, 22 years old.
Okay.
So we decided to get married, and we got married. We went on a vacation to Europe, to Greece and Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And we come back. Let me just back up. My night that I got married,
Yeah.
I didn't go to bed with my wife. I stayed up all night walking the streets of Washington, D.C. on cocaine. That's how
That's fucked up.
fucked up it was.
That's fucked up.
So we go away, we come back, and a little bit of, I was calmed down a little bit. And the next thing I know, she says, I'm done. You're out.
That's it.
I want you out of here.
Wow.
So she kicked me out,
Divorced you?
divorced. I was married for 3 months.
You were married for 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay. So she
Not proud of it.
No.
I'm ashamed when I tell people. I'm ashamed telling them I was 3 months. Oh, well, maybe you beat me. Mine was like 6 months.
Okay.
So the next thing I know, I'm at my mother's house, living downstairs.
In the basement.
And on a Sunday, I'm watching TV, and I'm seeing this triathlon.
Okay.
For the first time, I didn't know what it was. And I noticed these guys were really training, having fun, crossing the finish line, and it looked like a real high rush for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I devoted myself to do that.
So
Now, I was still doing drugs, but I curtailed it.
because of the training.
Correct. They started to do these Bud Light mini-series.
Yeah.
You'd swim a mile, bike ride 25, and do a 10K, which is 6.2 miles to run.
Right.
And I traveled around the United States competing.
But what drugs did you specifically curtail?
I curtailed the cocaine.
How do you train using cocaine?
I'm saying I curtailed. I cut it out.
Oh, you cut it out.
I cut it
you,
out.
you cut it out fully.
The Vicodins and the Somas.
Yeah.
Those I did a little bit, but
Okay.
not.
So you
When you're doing as much training, the swimming as many miles a week
Yeah.
and many miles of cycling, your body needed some kind of rest, and I would take that to mellow out.
Okay.
But I never.
I understand.
I dried myself out from the cocaine from getting into training and doing the triathlons.
Right.
So I did that for 2 years, and held a job, and I was doing well. And then next thing I know, I got away from that, and I started to use more of the opiates and stuff at jobs. And I got in trouble. I got fired. And my mother, this is in 1991, 92.
Okay.
Mom says, well, you can't hold a job with any company. You got to do something on your own. So I built a Subway, and I was the owner-operator for 4.5 years. And I opened a store at 5 o'clock in the morning. 6, I was there at 5, making the bread. And I did that for 4 years. And at that point, I realized things were starting to straighten us, getting weird, because I was taking the pills in the morning for the energy to go to work.
Okay.
I could still function. I could think what I was doing, but I had an idea. I said, why am I taking a pill every hour? By 12 o'clock, I had a little vial in my pocket, and I had a doctor locally who prescribed me my supply. So I did that for 4.5 years, and we got robbed 6 times. God bless, no one got hurt. And I said, I'm done. I sold my Subway. My mother lived in Delray, Florida. I said, I'm going to come down here with a buddy of mine. I came down here. I liked it. I had a little bit of money, tried to open up a Subway. I tried to open up an Italian restaurant. And didn't work, so I joined TGI Fridays.
Okay.
And I was closing manager for TGI Fridays.
Okay.
And I went to training at the beginning, and I had a pinched nerve. I think for the full week, I was chopping lettuce. Right, for training.
Yeah.
For prep. And so much to chop with my right hand, I got a pinched nerve. That put me in touch with another doctor, because I was flying home, getting my supply from the doctor for my knees.
Right.
So now I have supply here. And
locally,
Yeah.
You got a new dealer locally. Okay.
And now, I'm working.
Right.
And I could see that I was starting to really lose my mind. I wasn't making rational decisions at my job. So I did that for a year, and I left them, did sales, and I remember really taking advantage of the company, because I would never go out and work. I was doing Vicodins, I was doing Somas all day long. And so they fired me. And then a buddy of mine says, hey, Len, we've always wanted to open up a supermarket. His name is Joseph. And it was like a health food store, just like just like Whole Foods. And he wanted me to be project manager. So I was a project manager building 2 stores. And I remember in the morning that I was having my oatmeal, my cereal, and I couldn't get going without taking that half of Vicodin.
Right.
And now here comes the really crazy thing. So I'm in a conference room like this with a big table.
Yeah.
And I have blueprints. And I'm buying equipment from coolers to walk-ins, freezers, deli boxes. And I couldn't. And on the blueprint, it showed where each piece of equipment went. I couldn't identify that.
Jeez.
I was moving all this equipment around in a place where I vividly see myself in the afternoon of 4 o'clock, like, Len, what's going on here? I'm really losing it mentally.
Jesus.
So I'm just bringing you through my mental process, my thought process throughout my using.
Yeah, it's getting worse.
Yes.
Really worse.
So we build the stores, and now he wants me to manage one of these stores.
Okay.
And I remember up in Manalapan, I was the closing manager there. And I'd planned around, they closed at like 9 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, I'd have my dinner. I see myself, I'd be sitting there. I'd have like 2 Vicodins, Somas, take them with an empty stomach, get a major rush, then eat, and then count the money and go.
Okay.
I did that for 6 months, and it didn't do too well.
Right.
The business wasn't doing well, so he let me go.
Okay.
Now, I haven't been on a vacation for probably 5 or 6 years. Now, my mother did pass and left me some money.
Okay.
Now it's time to go on a trip, Len. I'm going on a nice cruise. So I planned this cruise for 10 days. and I planned to have all my Vicodins, all my Somas, that I'm going to enjoy myself.
You packed that before any clothes. You made sure you had your
No
shit.
doubt
Yeah.
about it.
Okay.
And the next thing I know,
You're on the cruise, right?
I'm driving up to Cocoa Beach,
Okay.
right?
From where?
From Coconut Creek, where I lived.
All right.
Got up there, get on the boat. I had my cabin, and I had it all lined up in the morning. I'd go out and lay in the sun, and I'd take my pills. Then I'd come back in the afternoon. I'd watch Humphrey Bogart, the Black and Whites, but I was all by myself. And I couldn't go to dinner without me using. I couldn't leave my cabin without me using. So now we're supposed to go back after 10 days.
Right.
And here comes a hurricane. And we're not coming back.
Oh, shit. What would they say?
After the 8th day, well, we're staying out in the waters.
Right. Oh, that you
To
got
be
to stay out in
safe.
the water. Okay, yeah.
So after 8 days, guess what?
You
All
run it-
my Vicodins and
You run
Somas
it.
are gone.
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
You're fucked.
I'm in the bed, jonesing. The
Wow.
idiot that I lost my brain. I didn't think about even going to the infirmary to get any pills. Later, when I tell the stories, they go, "How stupid are you, Len?" Very.
Yeah. Okay.
So, next thing I know, now we're going to go in to land,
right.
And we're going to drive. Well, we were in Miami,
You're going to dock in Miami. Okay.
yeah, instead of Coconut Grove.
Right.
So I'm thinking, oh yeah, man, I'm going to go back. And we're going to go to Coconut Grove. I'm going to get in my car, and I have a safe at the house, and all my drugs are there. I'm already thinking they're ready for me.
Wow.
So I get back. I drive on how fast. I get back, open up, and then I start using.
Mm.
Back on our major run.
Wow.
And I'm saying to myself, you know something? Maybe I can open another Subway.
Okay.
And I contacted some contractors,
Right.
and I asked them to meet me at a location.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in the back of this room,
You're in the back of the room.
and where the electrical room is.
Yeah.
And I couldn't feel the cold water, the cold wind in the back room. I couldn't feel anything. I was numb. And at that point, I left there, and I went home.
Yeah.
And I called my brother, and I asked him to come. You know, I needed help. And that's where I lost my mind.
You lost your mind.
And they put me in a treatment center, holistic treatment center, because they know I'm athletic.
Right.
So I could swim, exercise,
Okay.
all the above.
Okay.
So for 2 weeks, I got down there and I went into detox.
How long
And
did you how long did you detox for?
I should have detoxed for a week. I was only in for 3 days.
Okay.
I couldn't go to the bathroom, constipation.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, I finally got cleaned after the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And one day, we were going to the park.
Still in treatment. You're going to a park. Okay.
And the guys are playing basketball, and I see rollerblades.
Mm-hmm.
I said, can I borrow the rollerblades? He said, sure. So I took the rollerblades. Now, when I was in treatment, they gave me a big book. I was an addict. I'm not an alcoholic. But he says to me, do me a favor.
They gave you. Let's be specific. They gave you the AA Big Book.
Correct.
Okay, just
Thank
for
you.
if people, so that if they don't know. Okay, so that you got the AA Big Book, but you're like, hey, I'm an addict. I'm not an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Okay.
He says, just do me, because we went to meetings, I'm hearing about God.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was raised Jewish,
All right.
but I didn't have anything in me of any kind of religion.
Right.
I was spiritually bankrupt.
Of course.
So he says, highlight how many times you see higher power or how many times you see God.
In the big
in the
AA
AA Big Book. And
Okay.
I remember so clearly, I'm sitting there and my hands like flying a mile a
the
minute.
whole fucking book. Yeah.
And it didn't stop.
Yeah.
And it registered like, oh my God, something's going on. So I got in the rollerblades,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm out in the park, and I get to the end of the park,
Mm-hmm.
and I grab up against the fence, and I look up and I say, God, show signs that you're there. Come into my life, please. And I turn around, and there's this black man standing there. He came out of nowhere.
What?
He said, son, what are you doing? I says, I'm reaching for God to come in my life. Hold my hand. Let's say a prayer.
He told you to. He wanted you to hold his hand and say a prayer?
Correct. I held his hand. He said a prayer. I don't recall what it was. I asked him his name. He said his name was Matthew.
Yeah.
I said, thank you, Matthew. And I turned around and I strolled away and I turned back. He was gone. Nowhere in sight.
Wow.
I wanted to get back to the treatment center because Robert was a big Bible studier.
The guy that worked
One
at
of the technicians.
one of the techs at the treatment center was a big Bible studier. Okay.
And I got back there and I wanted to tell him my experience.
Oh, yeah.
I was so excited because something with God was showing up here.
Most definitely.
I got back and I see Robert at the bench and he had the Bible. And I started telling him a story and I told you.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, let me get Billy.
Okay.
And Billy's another resident there.
Another resident there. Okay.
And he comes and he said to Billy, what's the passage we were reading in the Bible? And what was his name? He said his name was Matthew.
Oh, shit.
At that point,
Wow.
immediately, God came into my soul and my spirit.
That's awesome.
And I'm forever grateful
That's great. That
God came in. And
Yeah,
I'm shaking right now
No,
because
I see
that's
it, yeah.
God.
No, that's
God's
God.
shaking me right now, big
That's a
time.
God moment, man.
So from that day on, I've had God in my life.
Yes, sir.
And I came back and I was open-minded and willingness and honest, spiritual principles about working the program.
Right.
So I got back and for 1 year, I had money. My mother left me
Okay.
and I had money and I went to an AA meeting every day at 12 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the youngest there. And I didn't want to say I was an alcoholic because I'm an addict.
Right.
And he said, well, just say you'd have the desire to stop drinking.
They told you just say you have the desire to stop drinking.
And
okay.
I did.
All right.
And they loved me back more than I could ever imagine. I'm forever grateful
Oh, yeah.
to these predecessors who were 70 years old with 40 years of sober.
Right.
And at that time, they didn't accept addicts.
Mm-hmm.
There was a tug of war.
Right.
But 8:30 at night, I was with my addict friends.
Oh, so at 8:30 you went to NA. You went
Yes,
to
I went to
Narcotics
the NA.
Anonymous. Oh, you went to Narcotics Anonymous meeting at 8:30.
Right.
Okay.
And
All
that's where I bonded with the fellowship of NA.
right.
And that's
Yeah.
when I got my sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Myron. May he rest in peace. He died of an overdose of heroin. And that was his choice of drug. And he was clean for over 20-something years. So what's that tell you?
He was clean for over 27 years and he relapsed and he died.
I think it was 21. Yeah, and he died
Jesus.
from his choice of drug.
So what does that tell you? Asked me, what does that tell me?
What does that tell you? It tells me that you're never cured
Oh, of course not.
of this disease.
Yeah.
It tells me that the disease is right smack in your face every day we wake up.
Every day.
They
And
want-
that's what really quick, I'll let you go. I will let you continue, but that's what people that don't suffer from the disease of addiction understand. They don't understand that it's a daily fucking reprieve. They don't get it. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
So, I did that meeting, went to 8:30 with the guys.
Mhm.
They took me out for ice cream at Lester's and all these guys. And, and I'm seeing people hug and everything, motorcycle guys, and all walks of life.
Yeah.
And they're hugging, and I'm a 51-year-old baby. I knew nothing.
Right.
When I got clean, I had to learn how to rethink my mind. I needed to listen to another man. And I did. I humbled myself. And I called my sponsor, Myron, every day, and I worked for Whole Foods. And I told them I was in recovery. I was proud of my recovery. I had nothing to be ashamed about.
Mm.
And I let people know at Whole Foods, and they came up to me. They asked me about it. There were people who were at Whole Foods who needed help,
Yeah.
and I helped.
Nice.
I knew that my ego was no longer there.
Right.
My self-centeredness was no longer there. Through working the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous with another man who was teaching me how to live day by day. I would go to him and I would ask him, how do I do this? Help me with this. I was never afraid. I'm not afraid of anything. There was no more fear because I had God on a daily basis that I read just for today. And if you read just for today, November 12th, again, it's another God moment. I'm telling my story on a day that it's a reading for Narcotics Anonymous. Yeah. So that for that, I'm forever grateful.
Yeah.
So at that point, I did the 12 steps with Myron, and I built a support group and the fellowship of all my Goombas, all my guys, man.
Yeah.
And I start sponsoring people.
Yes, sir.
And I start helping other people.
And that helped you as well, correct?
Yeah.
You've told me that several times, that just you think that, when you have this, when you're sponsoring somebody, the sponsee thinks that, they're just helping you, but you're helping yourself at the same time, man.
Yeah.
And that's deep. That's a deep part of the program. That's a deep part of
when you try to explain to sponsees that you're helping me too.
Yeah.
They're bringing it to the forefront of my mind what it was like.
Exactly. It's a reminder.
Yeah.
You could be there like that.
I don't understand that. I don't understand it. But when we're working the steps, I'm telling my story with them.
Right.
Okay, I'm explaining. They're reading and I'm reading too. We're holding hands together.
We did.
We love each other.
Yeah.
If before we end, I do want to say one thing and a couple other things.
We have time.
I'm very proud of you, Marco.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
For what you have accomplished in your life as a father.
Thanks.
As a person. And you are changing lives and saving lives. And I want to thank you for that. I wanted to get that out there. It means an awful lot.
Yeah, I'm very grateful that you said that. I couldn't listen. I didn't do it by myself. I'm not here. This wasn't a one-man show. There are many pieces of the puzzle in my recovery, why I'm here today. And you are, like I said in the beginning of this podcast, you are an integral part of helping me save my fucking life in recovery, man. And to learn, like you said, you have to learn how to live life clean and be happy. And I wasn't, the first 2 years of recovery, man, I was a miserable son of a bitch. I fucking hated everything. I hated myself. There was so much shame and guilt of what I did to my wife and my children and my friends and stuff like that, it's a process. And I appreciate you bringing that up, truly, because, there is a sense of, there's a sense of familyness that we constructed when we started talking in the beginning, and that was my God moment. So my God moment was when we started talking on the phone daily, and you started calling me out on my shit and being nice about it, but telling me, listen, man, you fucking can't do that. That's not how it rolls. And, like you told me before, I was probably one of the most defiant sponsees you had. You
were the only one.
Oh, thanks. So, fuck, why do you, this is a podcast, it's not a fucking roast, man. Jesus Christ. So, okay, so I was the most defiant sponsee you ever had. And I did leave, but I did come back.
Yes, you did.
And
on your own.
On my own, yeah. And, look, I honestly, I'm not saying any cliches or anything like that, but it brings me gratification when people message me on a social media platform, or they call me and I don't know them, or they got my number or my email, and they ask me a question about what they should do or how they can help this person, or what, a suggestion, because there's no fucking manual to this from the addict's perspective, or from the wife's perspective, or from the kid's perspective when their parent is in active addiction and now in recovery. So that's what I'm trying to do. That's the whole mission of this podcast. The whole mission is to shed light and give suggestions and say, hey, look, this is what we did. This is what I did. This is what my wife did. This is what my kids did. This is what I learned from my sponsor. And hopefully that will help that person that you're, or yourself, that is in need for help.
You know, there's something else. There's a word, love.
Mm-hmm.
And I never knew how to love anybody
Right.
because I didn't know how to love myself. And it was shared to me in meetings that we have to love ourselves before we can love anybody else. And from praying in the morning to my higher power, which I call God, you know, soothes my soul, and it helps me say to another man, I love him,
Right.
and other people. Because it's simple just to say, I love you. Can I help you? Can I do something else?
Right.
You know, I try to do a lot. I'm in sales, and I'm not patting myself on the back, but if I didn't know about Narcotics Anonymous and the program, what I'm going to tell you, I would not be doing this. You know, I'm on the road every day driving, and I carry water for guys who are, and women who are at the stoplight.
Yeah.
I'll pull it out, to give it to them. Or, when I go out to dinner and I have extra food, I'll take it home, not for myself. I'm thinking about another human being.
Yeah.
Which I never did before.
No, never. We never.
Because I just thought about me.
Me. Yeah.
And so today, I'm sponsoring some guys, who've been with me some time.
Mm-hmm.
One, Rob, he's been with 9 years. Captain Andy, I think he's coming on 10 or 11, and I just have a new sponsor, Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
And I need these guys.
Yeah.
I need these people in my life, because there were times, we would sponsor each other, and now I have a solid sponsor now, and he's definitely a God person.
Okay.
Which, and it's definitely helping me. But that's my story, and I'm sticking with it, man.
That's an amazing story, man. You're gonna when do you get the 17 years? God willing.
On December 8th.
All right.
December 8th. I'll have
You want to come
17,
back in when you get the 17 years?
Hey, whatever works for you.
You want to come back in?
Me,
Yeah.
sure. I do.
To the Defiant podcast.
I carry my medallion
Yeah.
with me.
In my car.
Wherever I go. Maybe it's going to come down here. Sorry, guys. I did put it back here, but all right. Well, it's in my wallet. I promise you.
All right.
And I have it every day.
Right.
I'm glad it falls out.
All right.
Me.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Thank you.
No, listen. So, listen. Thank you very much for your powerful, powerful message, and being so upfront and honest, and being so raw about your life and your experience and what you went through and the mental things that you went through and how you are today and how you walk recovery on a daily basis and how you give back lovingly. I appreciate it. We'll have you back in. All right.
Sure,
all right.
buddy.
So thank you for listening to the podcast or watching the video on the YouTube channel. If you like the video, please, give it a like. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I really appreciate it. If you know of anybody that needs any suggestions in terms of if they're in active addiction or they're in recovery and they're having a hard time, or if you yourself think that you are having a hard time or you're struggling with anything, any type of substance or any vice, you can reach out to me. You can email me at bamnrealrecoverytalk@gmail.com. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.